Hari Om. Start with the prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Amadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. So looking at the nature of Brahman, and Brahman is unknowable, but yet it is Jnata Jnana Jnaya Sunyam. So there is no here known and knowing. Pramata, Prameyam and Pramana, and all these distinctions are only at the transactional level. So even the knowledge or knowing things or self-realization, everything at the transactional level. In the pure Brahman, there is no avidya, there is no ajnanam, there is no realization. It is pure akhanda. See, before it says kevala akhanda chinmatram, it is pure consciousness. So everything is only at the transactional level. Both the self-realization and moksha, liberation, all that is only at the level of transactions. So ajnanam is also at the transaction level, and the jnanam is also on transaction level, because the pure is jnana jnatru jnana jnaya sunyam. And this is paratattvam viduhu. Viduhu means the Buddha. See, the Buddha, the wise people, they know the truth. How do they know? Through the Vedanta Sravanam, through their teacher who taught them the Vedanta, and their teacher taught them. So there is a sampradaya as well as the traditional Guru Parampara involved in this process here, and that's been implied here. So they know it was, they know not as an objective knowledge, they understood or realized that they themselves are Brahman, and from that point, from the Brahman point, it is essentially Jnatru Jnana Jnaya Suyam, that they understood and has to be. So in the next sloka 242, we continue this, the nature of Brahman. It says, Aheyam Anupadeyam. So continuing of the nature of Brahman, Aheyam Anupadeyam Manovacham Agocharam Aprameyam Anadyantam Brahmapurnam Mahanmaha. Aheyam Anupadeyam Manovacham Agocharam Aprameyam Anadyantam Brahmapurnam Mahanmaha. So Aheyam, Heyam is the dismissing or rejecting or eliminating, and Aheyam, it is non-negatable. So I can negate everything, but I cannot negate myself, nor I can negate Brahman. So non-dismissible alone is the truth. So this we will go into more details. And Aheyam, Anupadeyam, and Upadis, so the instruments, and Anupadeyam, I cannot gain this knowledge through any Upadi, any means of knowledge here. So since it's a Jnana Swarupam, I cannot gain through any means of knowledge. So Pramana, so the Pramana is a means of knowledge. So for me to show the world, Pratyaksha Pramanam is to know the world. So for me to know anything, I need the five senses through which I can know the world. So without the five senses, I cannot know the world. So is that the same way this is also unknowable? No, I cannot even use the five senses to know it. So Upadi, now see Anupadeyam, and not only the perceptual process, the logic process, and any other means of knowledge. So according to the Indian philosophy, epistemological analysis, there are 3 or 6 modes of in which knowledge can take place. It's called pramanam. So this is what discussed exhaustively in the Vedanta Paribhasha, those are interested. So it is Anupadeyam. None of the means of knowledge occurs. How about Shastra Pramanam? Shastra Pramanam is also not going to say this is Brahman. It's only through Lakshatya, that means indicative definitions only. It points out the nature of the reality as in the way it is being as Aheyam, non-negatable. So non-negatable means I cannot dismiss this. So anything I can dismiss cannot be God or cannot be truth. So all concepts can be dismissed because everything is objectifiable. So anything is that can be objects can be dismissed, and that's what I do when I go to from a waking state to a dream state, and I dismiss the whole world of waking and create a new world in the dream state. And the new world creation requires knowledge of creation, so I use the knowledge of what I gained in the waking state, which leaves in the mind a samskara or the knowledge of just so and so, all those things are there, and I assemble using the knowledge I create in the dream world. So there may not be things in the waking state, but I can create in the dream state because I have the knowledge of that creation. If I don't have the knowledge of the knowledge, I cannot create it. For example, we say that the heads with the horns are not there in the waking state, but I can still create that, even though Ishvara Srushti doesn't seem to be there, as far as we know, there are no heads with the horns. So, but I can create heads with the horns in my dream. So therefore Jiva Srushti can, only because I know heads and I know horns. So I'm only assembling now my own creation. So every creation is nothing but assemblage only. That's what even science also says, is nothing but matter can neither be created nor destroyed. Only one form of matter is transformed into some other matter, and transformation involves reassembling the matter. That's what is essentially the transformation is. So when I say I create a human being has created, since he used the concepts and that is available using the knowledge, using the laws available in the nature, he only ingeniously assembled the things for it to function in that way. So in olden days there may not be trains, but he created a train using the steam engine, and it is an assemblage of the concept that's already available in the nature, but ingenuity is how you can assemble. So that is creation. So human being has a capacity to create. But whereas if I say the yatharna nabis srujate grunhate cha, this example is given in the Upanishad, just as the spider creates the net. There the spider did not learn or did not think and meditate how I should create the net. It has the pre-knowledge that is given by the Lord himself. That knowledge is instinctively provided when it's born as a spider. So that knowledge itself is essentially the Lord himself is taking care of it, or providing the knowledge required, how the birds provide the nest, how they go from one end to the other end across the sea for migration. All that is provided. It's not a well thought about contemplative thing. It is because of the instinctively driven, and that's programmed for them to do. Whereas the human being can create because he is given an intellect. There is a free will is there. So people discuss whether there is free will and destiny and all that. Free will has to be there, and that makes him, in fact, as a human being. Human being is where he can use kartum sekyum, akartum sekyum, anyadha kartum sekyum. He has a capacity to do or not to do it another way because of free will. Because of the free will only, he has a consequence of accumulating the vasanas or the annihilating the vasanas also. And also, therefore, he can realize himself who he is also because of the capacity of this free will only. With the free will, you can go and learn Vedanta, and through Vedanta contemplate on the teaching and recognize that I am that Satchidananda Swarupam. So aheyam is I am negating everything in the waking world, in the dream, and with the knowledge that I have in the waking state I create. I don't create gaga booboo in the dream state because I have no knowledge of what gaga booboo is. Therefore I should have the knowledge of creation. and with that knowledge I create completely a different world which is contradictory or can be contradictory to the waking state. I may be blind in the waking state, but I may have a clear vision, 20/20 vision in my dream, and it can be contrasting of what it is, because the creation itself I can do it provided I have the knowledge of that. So that dream world is negated when I go to the deep sleep state, neither the waking world nor the dream world, and I am without any world. In fact, I am there without the concept of space and time also. So in the deep sleep state, there is no time, there is no space, but I am there. So I can negate even the space and time when I am going into the dream state, but I cannot negate myself. So that which is non-negatable alone is the truth. So what is the definition of the truth? So any form is negated by another form, and that which is formless cannot be negated, and that is aheyam, and that which is non-negatable, that which remains the same after dismissing everything, and that is only called nityam, and that is the satyam. The satyam and the nityam, and therefore I can negate the waking world, I can negate the dream world, I can negate the waking world by going to dream, I can negate the dream world also by going to deep sleep state, I can negate the deep sleep world by coming back to the waking state. So all the worlds are negated, but I cannot negate myself, because I am the subject, and I cannot negate, I can only negate objects, but objectifiable entities, objects or objectifiable entities, including concepts. There may not be tangible there, but even the knowledge of chemistry, knowledge of physics, all can be negated, but I am that who is, because of which I have the knowledge of chemistry, I have knowledge of physics, I have ignorance of chemistry, ignorance of this one, all that is negated also. So in the deep sleep state, I don't know, and I don't know that I don't know also. Therefore even the ignorance, knowledge of the ignorance is also dismissed. What is there is an experience of constant I don't know, ajnana, akhanda ajnana vritti is there. That alone is because when I get up, it says, where were you? Oh, I slept, I had a beautiful sleep, relaxing sleep, because there is no duality there. So any duality causes a problem. And that in fact scripture is trying to point out, and our experience is pointing out, it is Advaita alone is one can be free from samsara. But anyway, that's the aheyam is essentially trying to non-negatable. So only there are two things that are non-negatable. One is infinite cannot be negated, because to negate it I should be different from the infinite. I cannot be different from infinite, because infinite is infinite, should include me also. Therefore I cannot negate myself. So infinite cannot be negated, and at the same time the subject I am cannot be negated. I can dismiss everybody else and I can dismiss the whole world, but I cannot dismiss myself. Therefore the self that I am, indismissible, that is aheyam, is only truth, and everything else is not really truth or untruth. It is only experientially true, but absolutely not true. That's why we call it a mithya. So anupadeyam. So it is not through any instruments of that. So I don't need instruments to know myself. That means I am self-revealing entity. All instruments are only for objective things. Therefore a scientist cannot discover the truth by his investigations, because his upadi, the instrument, are not possible to investigate that which is beyond the instrument of knowledge. Therefore his tools are not valid, and he is trying to use the tools to negate everything else. So the very negation itself is like the dismissing the word, dismissing the absolute truth, is like the blind leading the blind. And here it is anupadeyam, mano vacha agocharam, mano, manaha and vacham agocharam. It is cannot be seen neither by the speech nor by the by the mind. So mind only can know objectifiable entities. So how do I know? Manayo manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayo. Only through the mind I can know, but here it says it is unknowable by mind. It is not knowing as an object here, but knowing that because of the mind itself is functioning, I have to contemplate in the direction that is being pointed out, and that has to be. So yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. So scriptural statement is going quoted here. Manu vacham agocharam. Agocharam is cannot be seen. Cannot be seen either through the mind or through the senses also. So what is gocharam cannot be really true, because whatever is seen cannot be absolutely real. See, Acharya says it is seen, therefore it is real. We say it is seen, therefore it is not real, because the truth is that which cannot be seen, because it is infinite, cannot be seen, and the subject cannot be seen as an objectifiable entity. So aprameyam, that we discussed before, it is not an object of any pramana. So there is no pramana, prameta and pramanam. So there is no subject, object, knower, known or not there. It is because of which all pramanas are validated, and that which cannot be seen, but that because of which everything is seen is itself is the nature of the reality. So it is not an object of knowledge. Therefore no instrument of knowledge is valid for it. Only Vedanta is a pramana. So it is not a fanatical statement. It says Vedanta is a pramana. We are not talking about Hinduism here. We are talking about Veda as a knowledge itself, and Veda as a knowledge, as an absolute knowledge, trying to find out not only what is the objective world that all the objective scientists are discovering, and what is the subject also, and what's the relation between the two, and that which supports both the subject and the object are the means of knowledge, which is beyond any of these means of knowledge, is alone the absolute truth. That's why Vedanta is a pramana. So it is aprameyam anadyantam. So anadi, adi antam, adi antam na. So that means it doesn't have either a beginning or end. So it is not any finite things. So that which has a beginning and end is obviously cannot be truth. So the whole world is continuously beginning and end. Even my date of birth and end also, there seem to be beginning and end, that which ends, but this is beyond the beginning and end. So I am there before even my birth, I am there during the birth, I am there beyond when the body dies also. That's what whole Upanishad starts with this. It says na jayeto mriyate eva kadachit nayam bhutva na bhavitava na bhuya. So I am there before, in the past, in the future, in the present also. So that which is continues only changing things, that say which is real, says that which was not there before and which appears to be there now and which will not be there, that's all finite things, and they are not the real truth also. And Gaudapada says Ado Antecha Yannasti Vartamanepi Tattadha. That which is not there before and that which is not there later, even now in the Vartamanam, even in the present when I say it is there, it's not really there. And that's what is the knowledge is. So the ring was not there before, ring may not be there in the future, and even now there is no ring here, and that has to be understood, and that's what essentially anadi antaha. So it is beginningless and endless. Therefore that beginningless and end is avidya can do that. Avidya is the ignorance has no beginning, but it can end, because it's not the nature of absolute truth, and it is only nitya, therefore it can end. But that which has no beginning and end is that which is that pure Brahman, and that is pure consciousness, and that is Brahma Purnam. Purnam is that is infinite. So Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamiva Vasishyate. We chant regularly, but here that Adam is that which is the Aham Purnam, and Idam, the whole universe, both are infinite, but there cannot be any two infinities. The one infinity is just projection of the other only, and when you are projecting, infinite still remains an infinite, and that's essentially the whole Vedanta is packed in that sloka. Here is Purnam, that Brahman which is infinite, and that you are has to be Mahan Mahaha. It is the greater than the greatest. In the description of the Vishnu, this is essentially the Pavitranam cha Pavitranam cha Pavitrancha, and Mangalanam cha Mangalam. Says it is the auspicious, it's a Pavitram, it is a sacred than anything else, and it is Mangalam, it is auspicious than anything else, because it is supreme and there is nothing beyond about it, and that is Brahma Purnam and Mahan Mahaha. It is beyond the beyond. It is essentially that which is greater than the greatest, and that is essentially Brahman, because there is nothing beyond Brahman. So some people say after self-realization there is something else to be done. Nothing else to be done, because once I realize I am Brahman, that means I am infinite, there cannot be anything other than that. And that is being discussed as a part of the vichara of what is the nature of Brahman. Now from there on, the scripture, the Viveka Chudamani goes into the Mahavakya Vichara, where I am that Brahman has to be understood, because there is nothing other than the Brahman. If I am there and I have to be other than the Brahman, so I cannot be other than the Brahman, and therefore I have to understand how can I be Brahman, how can I be Ishvara. These are the questions that are being addressed, and from then on we go into the Mahavakya Vichara, particularly the Tattvamasi, the teaching that we will do in the next talk. With this, we stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.